Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see about the East India Company. The East India Company lasted for nearly 258 years. It was started in 1600 and the purpose for starting the East India Company was for trading with other countries. And the purpose of this trade ended in 1858, that is after 258 years. The first Englishman who is believed to have come to India is Father Thomas de Vistus, and he was the head of the Jesuit college in Goa in 1579. He wrote a lot of letters about India to his father, and this aroused a desire in England to have trade with India. As a result of this, in 1585, two English merchants, Ralph Witch and William Deeds, they arrived at Fatehpur Sikri, which was the capital of Akbar, the Mughal emperor. In 1600, Queen Elizabeth granted a royal charter to the English East India Company. In 8 years, the English traders established their first trading center at Surat. The East India Company had only 125 shareholders and it had a capital of 70,000 pounds, and the profit which they made was divided among the shareholders. The East India Company's next effort was to establish important trade centers in India. In 1640, some land to the north of Santham, which belonged to the Portuguese settlement, was obtained for rent from the Raja of Chandragiri. Francis Day erected a number of buildings and a fort, and the fort was named as Fort St. George after the patron saint of England. And this was the beginning of the presidency of Madras. The name Madras is derived from Portuguese language Madra de Dios, which means Mother of God. Bombay was a marshy place which belonged to the Portuguese. In 1661, it was given as a dowry to Charles II of England when he married Catherine of Braganza. Charles II parted with the place to the East India Company for an annual rent of just £10 because at that time the value of the land was very low. The first governor, Gerald Auger, converted it into a beautiful and well fortified town with a natural harbour. The trading factories at Surat were soon shifted to Bombay, which was later called the Presidency of Bombay. In 1690, the British agent Job Charnock built at Calcutta, that is Calcutta, a fort which he named Fort William in honor of King William III. Several other factories were opened in Bengal and placed under a president and council with their headquarters in Fort William. Thus was started the Presidency of Bengal. The Mughal Empire was disintegrating at that time, and the British authorities took this as advantage and started interfering in the internal affairs of the Indian princes. The French were the only rival in this country, and the great French leader in India at that time was Dupleix, and his English counterpart was Robert Clive. They both took opposite sides in the disputes when there were some disputes between any Indian kings, and there were many issues for that. About the succession to the offices of Nizam of Hyderabad and Nawab of Karnataka all came to them, and three Carnatic wars had the ultimate effect of establishing the British supremacy in South India, because in all these wars British showed its superpower. And after defeating the French in the south, Clive interfered in the affairs of Bengal. He defeated the Nawab of Bengal in the Battle of Plassey in June 1757. For establishing British power in India, he was made the first governor of Bengal and sometime later Lord Clive of Plassey. However, when he returned to England in 1767, he was badly attacked in the Court of Commons, chiefly for corruption and aggression. Later in 1774, he committed suicide when he was only 50 years old. The East India Company had acquired large territories in India, but report after report reached England of serious scandals and irregularities. So, the British Parliament passed the Regulating Act in 1773. According to this act, the Governor of Bengal was made the Governor General with supervisory powers over the presidencies of Bombay and Madras. He was assisted by a council of 4 members. A Supreme Court consisting of a Chief Justice and 3 other judges was appointed to deal with all kinds of crime. The directors of the company were expected to place before Parliament copies of their correspondence, but the act failed to achieve its purpose. The result was the passing of Pitt's India Act of 1784. And according to this act, all Indian affairs had to be managed by a committee of 3 senior directors supervised by a board of control appointed by the crown, that is the Queen. But in actual practice, the president of the board of control exercised all the power. In the next few decades, the company authorities adopted a variety of ways to acquire territories in India. They waged wars, transacted treaties, made subsidiary alliances with native rulers, and annexed states on some pretext or the other. They also fought with the frontier countries like Afghanistan, Burma, and Nepal. They waged wars with the most powerful Indians like Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan. After fighting 3 Maratha wars, they succeeded in disbanding the formidable Maratha Confederacy. The company signed a treaty with the powerful Sikh leader Ranjit Singh, popularly known as the Lion of the Punjab, and the confusion which followed his death in the state helped them to annex the Sikh states to extend the British territorial possession. By making subsidiary alliances with native rulers like the Raja of Mysore, the Nizam of Hyderabad, and the Nawab of Oudh, and many others, Lord Wesley was able to establish British power over a good part of India. According to the subsidiary system, an Indian ruler had to pay a certain amount of money to the British government, and in return he was assured of external defense and internal security. Starting from Robert Clive, a galaxy of eminent Englishmen presided over the British activities in India, the most famous of them being Warren Hastings, Lord Cornwallis, Arthur Wesley, Lord Hastings, William Bentinck, and Lord Dalhousie. Guilty as some of them were of exploitation and many other crimes, but many of them did much good to India. William Bentinck ruled from 1828 to 1835. He introduced a number of social reforms like the prohibition of sati. In 1828, it was declared that the practice of sati, that is the burning alive of Hindu widows, was illegal and punishable, and he was supported by enlightened Indians like Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Bentinck also framed the Indian Penal Code. He appointed a law commission with Thomas Babington Macaulay, an eminent jurist and historian, as its president. The Penal Code, drafted by him in 1837, was adopted in 1860. Bentinck made English as a medium of higher education in India. The directors of public instruction were divided in their opinion on the matter because some of them wanted to confine education to the study of Sanskrit and Arabic, but the others were in favor of Western education through the medium of English. Macaulay, in his famous minute presented on 2nd February 1835, pleaded the cause of English, and that set the question at rest once and forever. On 7th March 1835, William Bentinck announced that the great object of the British government ought to be the promotion of European literature and science among the natives of India. This decision served as an incentive for the missionaries like Dr. Duff in Calcutta, Dr. Wilson in Bombay, and Dr. Miller, who became the first principal of Madras Christian College, to take active interest in the university education of these 3 metropolitan cities. Universities of Calcutta, Bombay, and Madras, all modelled on the University of London, were established in the same year, that is 1857. Lord Dalhousie was another Governor General who introduced some useful social reforms. In 1853, the first railway 20 miles long from Bombay to Thana was opened. Another was constructed from Calcutta to Raniganj coalfields. The line connecting Madras and Arakonam was constructed later. He organized the Public Works Department and opened an engineering college in Roorkee. A network of roads with bridges covering a distance of 2,000 miles was constructed by the Public Works Department. The Grand Ganges Canal, the largest canal in the world, was also made in Dalhousie's time. He introduced post and electronic telegraphs, which improved the means of communication in the country. By the middle of the 19th century, the Hindus, the Mohammedans, and the princely fraternity were all very much disturbed by the high-handed way in which their territories were annexed to the British Empire. Some activities of the British wounded the religious feeling of Indians. The famous mutiny broke out at Meerut on 10th May 1857. There were scenes of violence at Delhi, Kanpur, Lucknow, and in central India, which caused the death of many Englishmen. The British Parliament abolished the powers of the company and transferred the government of India directly to the Queen. Queen Victoria's proclamation was read out by Lord Canning, the then Governor General, at Allahabad on 1st May 1858, and that was the end of the East India Company. but we can definitely say that East India Company was instrumental in popularizing Indian goods like fine cotton, calico cloth, silk, tea, and the spices, especially pepper, which was used for preserving meat for the winter, flavoring food and drink, and for medicinal purposes. Most of the Englishmen who came to India as employees of the company were from the lower strata of English society. They kept seeking a meager livelihood but returned home with immense wealth acquired in most cases through foul means. Robert Clive, for instance, joined the company as a clerk, drawing a nominal salary of £10 a year. But when he returned home, he was reported to have become the king's wealthiest subject. This class of wealthy people were nicknamed Nabobs. Bhagavad Gita was translated into English by Charles Wilkins. William Jones translated Shakuntala by poet Kalidasa. Indian scholars like Raja Rammohan Roy, though they did not change their religion, became familiar with Christianity. In 1820, he published The Precepts of JAYA'S. Many words of Indian origin like banyan, bungalow, jungle, swaraj have found their way into the English vocabulary. The influence of English on Indian languages has been such that many Indians find it difficult to convey their ideas in their own mother tongues without using English words occasionally. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box, hype the video, like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.